Hello, this is the SJCAM SJ4000 pictured here with all the accessories that were included. We had a docking station for charging two batteries at the same time. We had some stickers. We have two USB cables, believe it or not, which are actually right over here. And we have a micro SD memory card, which was included with the camera, 32 gigabytes, which is quite nice. Very easy to take out the extra batteries and take out the battery. And so far, so good. We have a second screen, which can be activated by holding down the down button. So overall, so far so good. I'm ready to test out this camera. This will be a video about video tests, so why don't we just turn on the camera and show you the different video resolution settings. Videos will follow shortly. Sample videos recorded mostly with 1080p 60 frames per second, but maybe some other resolutions as well. So if you'd like to see the sample videos, they will be in the next part of this video. Sample footage recorded with this camera, the SJCAM SJ4000, which will be the title of this video will include the name of the camera. So what kind of resolution settings do we have here? We have to hold down the up button to kind of go through the various settings. So let's just go. We have photo mode, playback mode, and lastly the settings. So video resolution, my preferred setting is 1080p 60 frames per second. We go all the way up to 2.7K and finally 4K. However, I'm going to be using my favorite setting, 1080p 60 frames per second. So that's how to get to the various settings. We have 720p as well. So I'm going to just leave it at 1080p 60 frames per second. So just kind of keep holding down the up button various times to get to the exit of the settings. And we're going to try this camera. So we do have a second screen, which can be activated by holding down the down button. So you're going to see me shortly. Here's the actual camera that we're filming with. There it is. And then holding down the down button again. Again, this is the SJCAM SJ4000. Video test, video recordings will follow shortly. Here are all the accessories that were included. Of course, you also have the underwater housing, which we're going to use when submerging the camera underwater. Video tests with this camera, and I'll let you decide for yourself if you think the video quality looks good. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. These are some video tests. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. Video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. Hello, we are here with the SJCAM SJ4000. This is what we are recording with right here, the SJCAM SJ4000. This is a 1080p 60 frames per second video test on this sunny Sunday afternoon, July 30th, 2023. Again, this is what we're recording with. This is the SJCAM SJ4000. Action camera recently purchased on Amazon, and this is an extended 1080p 60 frames per second video test for you to decide if you think the video quality looks good. Again, this is being uploaded to YouTube. This particular clip is not being edited. 1080p 60 frames per second will let you decide if you think this looks good. I'm very excited to see what the quality looks like on this camera. SJCAM so far is one of my favorite companies. I have another one of their cameras, the C100 Plus, which doesn't have a screen. So again, extended 1080p 60 frames per second video test. I don't know if this camera has image stabilization. Not that many features, I would say, but the accessories are definitely fantastic. We have 2 batteries, 2 USB cables, and a 32 gigabyte memory card, and a docking station to charge 2 batteries at the same time. Again, this is the SJCAM SJ4000, which has 2 screens, and this is a 1080p 60 frames per second video resolution test. Purchased recently on Amazon. There are usually some coupons available in general for a lot of action cameras, so if you're interested, just keep in mind that the coupons will fluctuate, the amount of the coupons, discounts, etc. 1080p 60 frames per second video test. .1080p 60 frames per second video test with the SJCAM SJ4000. And this is just want to show you really quickly, this is the camera that we are recording with, the SJCAM SJ4000. You got this mirror, show you this is what we are recording with, and here it is. Video test, 1080p resolution, 60 frames per second. .1080p, 60 frames per second video test. The camera goes all the way to 4K, 2.7K, but my personal favorite setting is 1080p, 60 frames per second. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second. Thanks for watching this video. Have a nice day. Extended video test. SJCAM SJ4000. This has been a video test at 1080p resolution, 60 frames per second. Video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. Video test, 60 frames per second. Video test, 60 frames per second with the SJCAM SJ4000. Video test, 60 frames per second. Video test with the SJCAM SJ4000, 60 frames per second. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. Video test. Video test, 60 frames per second. Oh, this is a 1080p 60 frames per second video test with the SJCAM I think it's SJ4000, 1080p video test. 60 frames per second. Video test, 60 frames per second. Video test at 60 frames per second, the SJCAM SJ4000. Video test, 60 frames per second. Video test, 60 frames per second. Video test. Video test, 60 frames per second. The SJCAM SJ4000. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. With the SJCAM SJ4000. 1080p video test, 60 frames per second. .1080p video test, 60 frames per second.